Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Scrambling and Rambling podcast with Greg and
Becca.
me and Becca are here. We're having so much fun doing this podcast, Becca. We are what eight episodes in now, I
That's
believe,
right. Yep, eight
and
episodes.
we've been able to talk to some really amazing people. But we wanted to take not a break, but just a moment that we could talk back with each other and talk to you guys, and just kind of like do one on our own and just kind of reset a little bit and kind of go back and think about what has happened over the last gosh, it's been since 4 months or so since we started doing this podcast, and just kind of give ourselves like a quarterly reset a little bit. So we're excited just to talk to you guys just one on one here today. So Becca, of these 8 episodes that we have done so far, was anything stood out to you? Anything that you really, really liked and had a lot of fun with?
Well, I mean, they've all been so interesting and different, which is really fun. Overall, like in general, I think it's been really cool to see the way people interact with the outdoors, just like the different ways people are interacting with the outdoors. I think there can be like a stereotype of like an outdoorsy person, but this is like a great way of seeing all the different ways people are outdoorsy in their own way. Um, yeah, we we recently aired. Where are we at? We're 8 episodes deep, but we haven't at the time of this recording we haven't released one of them yet. So we've had 7 out
Mm-hmm.
at this time. Um, yeah, and it's just been like such different stories. What about you? What are you thinking?
I think kind of the same thing. I love that everybody that we've talked to has been so different. Like we've talked to we've talked to a lot of writers because that's kind of the world that we're in. So we started off with a lot of writers, but then we talked to Grace, who did the sound effects for in LA, and like her mindset was so different from some of the other people that we've talked to, like from Kai or Mary or somebody like that. Sandy being a DJ in LA and living in San Francisco, but then also trying to get out from the big cities and just kind of like that like the diversity of those different ideas and like what people do in their day job versus what they do in the outdoors, and kind of how their art or what they do, their art would come by and combine with their love of the outdoors. And I think it's this kind of podcast has become a lot of like, you just meet a random person on the trail and you talk to them, and that's the vibe that I think we're both going for. And it's been so much fun kind of just talking to people that we wouldn't talk to normally, but we trap them here for an hour in the interwebs and make them talk to us, which is so much fun. So
Yeah. Yeah, were there any stories or anything like from the episodes that surprised you?
I don't know if they surprised me, but I think just the combined passion of everybody and how much they love the outdoors and how much they want to do with the outdoors, and just to make sure that everybody can enjoy the outdoors. It's like, whether it's somebody who, Kai writing for CNN and trying to give people the best gear that they have, or again, going back to Grace and her sound effects, trying to make sure that if you hear a rock in a TV show, it's the same rock that you would hear in nature. Like there's just like such everybody's doing the same thing, just in a different way. And I think that's what I've loved so much. How about you? What has been surprising to you in this first 8 episodes?
Yeah. Similarly, I think like the range of how people not just like interact with the outdoors, but how they incorporate it into their creative lives or their like professional lives. But you mentioned Grace and the sound effects. I'm still just so blown away by that line of work of like sound design and editing, because it was so off my radar and just so not something I'd ever thought about. And so that one to me, I think was so surprising to like hear about her like hiking at 3 a.m. because that's when it's most quiet and you can collect the best sounds. And like that was such a fascinating, like just such a fascinating line of work. And yeah, I also like with Karthika's episode, I wasn't surprised by her stories because I kind of already knew she had some really cool adventure stories. But her snippets of wisdom were so fun, I think, in
Mm-hmm.
that episode. Like she had so much to share that was so like it has since like shifted my perspective on things, which is really cool.
That's amazing. That's the best part of this is, and the interesting part is like there's some people that I know a little bit and that we've had on, and some people that you know a little bit and we've had on, and people that both of us have known a little bit that we've had on. So I feel like it's been different for me too. Like Karthika, I didn't know at all, and then to hear the stories about like when she's, was it hippos or lions, or like she's literally playing with, or like standing right next to like the deadliest animals on earth, and she's just like, no, that's just part of the job, you know. And you know, that was fascinating to me, and just to see how people, again, like how their perspectives are different from the perspectives that we have on a daily basis. So for me, it's been an amazing 8 episodes so far.
Yeah, me too. I think, all right, that's it. Wrap it up. We're
We're
done.
done. That was the end of the scrambling. Now, I think we've got some good ones lined up too for
Hmm.
this year. And we started in the winter, and winter's not exactly the hiking season, you know. So a lot of the people who are in this space, the outdoor space, some of them get up and ski and do things like that, but not, you know, a lot of people are also taking some time off to get used, you know, back into the real world here in the winters. And then the summers, I think we'll get a lot of new guests, you know, new ideas of people we will literally meet on the trails,
Yeah.
where we'll be able to just be like, hey, come on the podcast, you know, which is my favorite way to spend outdoors, is just meeting new people and learning things, and finding out, you know, what brings everybody out there. So I'm excited about what we have up. We have a couple that we have lined up that I'm really excited about too, and we'll get to those very soon. But we've also got a lot of things that we've been doing lately, and we've been keeping busy. The first one, and I think this is a big kind of update for people who've been watching the podcast, but somebody who is big milestone in the recovery from hip surgery.
That's right. Yeah, I've started running again, which is very exciting for me. Yeah, it's been like almost a month now, I think, of me running.
And how far have you been going now? How, like, are you cleared totally, or?
Yeah, I was cleared totally like 4 weeks ago to run, but with the, of course, like with the suggestion to like ease into it and
Mhm.
incorporate a lot of walking. So I started off with that, where it was like a lot of just like walk runs, basically. But yeah, I hit like 19 miles last week over like maybe 4 runs, I think. So, um, or 5 runs. So yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there slowly but surely.
I have not had my hip replaced, and I haven't run 19 miles in probably 40 years. So I am impressed. Like, how is it feeling? Is everything feeling good?
Yeah, it's great. It like everything feels good. I am constantly in awe of how much pain I was in before and didn't realize it. Now that
Hmm.
it's all gone, and
Yeah.
just like how much more mobility I have. So it feels really good. I'm always worried that I have to like toe this line of like, I want to do what I'm allowed to do, but I also don't want to do too much. And like, you know, my, I don't know, hopefully this doesn't gross anyone out, but like my femur is still growing around the titanium rod and will be, I think, for the next probably 9 more months or so. I think it takes about a whole year. So I don't want to like do too much and like crack anything or, cause harm. So I'm constantly towing that line. So mentally, I get a little freaked out sometimes, but it feels good physically. So,
As somebody who has had multiple surgeries on a joint and they didn't always take, like, I will tell you that yes, you have to kind of ease your way back into it. I will also tell you that I'm apparently not an expert because I've had 4 surgeries on the same joint,
oh
and
my
I
gosh.
need to have that joint replaced myself. So I just have been a little too lazy to get that taken care of. But yeah, it's tricky. Like, recovery is so hard from any injury, because some people, no problems whatsoever, they're ready to go, and then other people, it just takes a lot longer.
Mhm. Yeah, and something I'm finding with hip replacement is like usually the demographic of person who has had their hip replaced is typically older than
Hmm.
I am, and also isn't like hasn't been running as much as I have, and isn't trying to get back to the amount of running that I'm trying to get back to. So any advice that I find, like any research I find, any advice on the internet, anything at all, is not really geared toward my recovery. So that it's just, and frankly, like it's only until recently that surgeons have even said that you can run on a hip replacement.
Sure.
if they, so there's not a lot out there, and I'm kind of navigating it on my own and figuring it out as I go.
They're gonna write articles about you. You're gonna be in a medical journal.
There's a woman I just found her recently on Instagram. I don't remember her name, or like I think it's something like the Bionic Runner or something like that. But she has a record, like maybe a Guinness record for fastest marathon on two hip replacements or double
Wow.
hip replacement.
Is that a
So
goal now? You're gonna try to beat her on a single hip replacement?
yeah, now I have to get both my other hip replaced so that I
Sure.
can beat her.
Well, keep running marathons. I'm sure they'll tear that other one out. I'm in medical journals too, but it's like the freaks of nature type of thing. They were
Yeah,
like,
of
well,
course.
we don't understand why this guy's still alive, but we'll see how
Yeah.
that goes.
But you've had some exciting things recently as well. You've had some adventures despite your very busy schedule.
Yeah, we had some fun. So I had a couple of days off of work, which I work a couple jobs, so that it's always tricky to find time. But for those of you who aren't in the Midwest, I know like the Midwest proper, which I would consider, Illinois and Iowa and even down into Tennessee and Georgia and Pennsylvania, and that whole East Coast has gotten just socked with cold weather. And it's been a really brutal kind of winter for them. Well, out here in Colorado, out here in the West, it's been 70 degrees. We haven't had much snow. It's been very, very mild. And it's actually terrifying when it comes to the summer fire season. So we're hoping to get more in March and April snow as we can. But because of that, I ended up going up to the Badlands in South Dakota the other day, and it was amazing because you never think that the Badlands in February is a good idea. For those of you who have gone to the Badlands in like August or July, it's also not a great idea because it's about 190 degrees out there with nothing above you but sun. But I got a chance to get out there, and it turned out to be like 50-degree days, and it was absolutely stunning. And I had a chance to actually really enjoy the park without overheating, without being freezing. I Again, this is a historic moment, but there was no wind on the day I was there, which is also a real change for the Badlands. Which was nice. Was I got to do it wasn't crowded because it was off season, so there were maybe 20 of us in the park, and I got to do four different hikes on one day. And the Badlands isn't it's an interesting park. Have you been up there?
I have, yeah.
So, it's a hike anywhere park where they have a couple of trails, but then you're also allowed to hike anywhere. But as a leave no tracer, as you are, like I'm so ingrained in that I can't tell myself to just go hike anywhere. So I followed along on the trails, but there's only like six trails in the whole park that are like the official park trails. And then there's a lot of places that you can go and walk on the rocks and things like that and make your own trails, which again, I don't recommend unless it's totally allowed, which it is up there. So I stuck to the six trails, and I ended up getting, I think, like five of the six trails in the park that I got to hike. There's a lot of shorter trails, but there's one trail that called the Notch Trail, which ends up going up there's a ladder. You've got to go like straight up the side of a cliff. And I, people who've seen my Instagram stuff know that I do not love heights. So I climb up this ladder and I'm thinking, okay, we're good. So then I take the ladder or I get up to the ladder and then I walk around, and then all of a sudden you're just going right along the edge. And there was a big sign at the trailhead that said, like, if you're scared of heights, you will not enjoy this trail. And I was like, what do they know? So then I'm like literally like walking, shimmying on an edge, and I'm not a thin guy. So like the edges are a lot more narrow for me. And then I see this sign that says like danger, don't go this way, which was the way I wanted to go because it seemed a lot safer. And I had to pop myself up and around like the sign, and I'm like, what am I doing to myself? This is like, you know, an easier hike in a national park, and like this is going to be the one that I get to the end of. Get to the end of it, beautiful. Like you're inside this like canyon, and then it like opens up to this called the Notch. So there's like this notch in the wall in the rocks, and you can see down over like all of South Dakota. It seemed like you could probably see to Missouri. It was kind of amazing. And then I don't even know if Missouri touches South Dakota, but it was a good reference, so I'm going to stick with it.
Yes, I believe so.
I
Yeah.
think so.
Well,
We'll go
oh
with it.
God, how embarrassing if
Well, we are two liberal arts majors, so when it comes to math and geography, I don't think we
you know,
are.
Can I
worked.
be vulnerable in this moment? Geography was my minor. Okay,
Oh,
Missouri does not touch South Dakota.
well, there's been a lot of changes in the
Iowa.
borders, so it's Iowa. So
Yeah.
I could see all the way to Iowa. And then so I pop back and all right, I think, okay, the worst of this is done, right, Becca? So I have made it all the way to the end of this trail. And I'm like, this is great. I make it back. I make it back through that little ledge, and I'm like, it's not as scary the second time. I'm looking the other direction. It's not bad. I get back to the top of this ladder, and I'm like, how do you get back on it? Like, you expect me to just step over? Like, it's one thing when you're climbing up a ladder because you're looking up, you're like, oh, I see the next step. You just move hands and feet, hands and feet, hands and feet. And then getting onto a ladder from the top, it's just send it. You just blindly put your foot over the edge and you hold on with a hand and you hope for the best. And of course, I've got like a bigger backpack because I'm there for the whole weekend, and I've got like all my camera gear and stuff in there. And I just put my foot down, and like my entire leg just started shaking. And I was just like, oh, eventually I'm gonna hit that rung. And it took me, I swear, 45 minutes to hit the rung, which actually was about 2 seconds. But I finally hit the rung, and then like my foot just froze, and it's like, nope, we're not moving down from here. And then what do you do? Because you're on this ladder, you're leaning off the top of the edge, and you have to take your foot off and reach down and just blindly catch the rung going down. And I know people have climbed ladders before, but they are not as scared of heights as I am. And this isn't a ladder that is like, going up onto the roof. This is a ladder that is tied into the side of and it's just like bolted with a wire.
Kind
Yeah,
of shaky, right? Yeah.
yeah, it wobbles.
Yeah.
It was just like, I mean, I will say that the park rangers are amazing at putting these bridges and ladders and all this stuff together. It's effective, but it's not like it doesn't feel like the safest thing in the world. So it took me a long time to get down to the bottom of this ladder, but I finally did make it. I, I was terrified. I'm just drenched in sweat at this point. It's 50 degrees out there, and I'm just drenched in sweat. And I turn, and there's these two ladies sitting at the bottom, and like, we didn't think you were gonna make it. I'm like, well, what do you do?
Oh
You should.
no.
So they were like literally watching me and taking pictures, and they're like, fat guy coming down a ladder. Like, I'm probably viral for that. And they're like, you did a good job, but we didn't think you were gonna make it. So that was my experience with the
Man,
Badlands.
even when the park's like mostly empty, you still had to have witnesses for that.
Exactly. Like it was the only other people in the park, and they just like they set up a grandstand. There were bleachers. They were selling hot dogs just to watch me come down this ladder at the notch in the Badlands. So yeah, I don't know that I would do that trail again, but the rest of the Badlands is very, very beautiful.
My mom's listening, and I know that she's feeling really, really grateful right now because I was at this park with her back in 2019,
Hmm.
and I know the hike you're talking about because we got to that point in the hike where we encountered the ladder, and my mom said, absolutely not. So I went
Smart
up the
woman.
ladder, and so I could see the like some views, but that was it. I didn't
Hmm.
go any further because my mom was not joining me. So then I had to come
Hmm.
back down. It is scary coming down. I do remember that. I remember like there were it was June. There were a lot of people around.
Yeah.
So I had to like really play it cool and
Yeah.
be like, "Ah, I can handle a ladder.
You didn't have to.
I'm
You go in February, and you can just cry the whole way down, and nobody notices except the two ladies waiting on you.
yeah,
So
yeah,
your mom's a smart woman for not going up that
yeah,
ladder. It was not enjoyable, but
yeah. She was smart. I think I don't think she would have enjoyed that experience. There was a trail we hiked and I don't remember the name of it, but I remember we heard there's like an insect and I don't know which insect it is, but it makes a sound that is very similar to a rattlesnake.
yes, I know of
Yeah,
this
and
insect.
there are signs everywhere in Badwater about the rattlesnakes and
Yes.
so my mom and I were like super on edge, and every time we heard these insects, we are like, "Oh no, it's a
Hmm.
rattlesnake! Oh no!" It's
Yeah.
like every 5 minutes, and it got to a point where like, should we just turn around and do a different trail?
It was probably like there was a trail called the Castle Trail. I don't know if you took that one, but it's where you walk out, and like part of it is on the rocks, and then you come up into these little grasslands where
Yes.
yeah, so you're on the grasslands, and the grass is just tall enough to hide a snake, and then there's a bunch of sticks in there that look just like snakes,
Yeah.
and then there's all those bugs around that just rattle,
Yeah.
and I don't know if they're like grasshoppers or what, but they're just, yeah, every single time I would jump, and yeah, it was not an exciting. Luckily, it was cold enough when I was there, so
Yeah.
snakes don't love the cold, so I was pretty sure they weren't there. But in June, yeah, they were out for you. They were looking.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You're a pretty good meal for a snake.
I know. So I guess that was why we had to turn around. Couldn't risk being
That's smart.
eaten, as we know
That's
rattlesnakes do.
well, either the ladder's going to get you, or the rattlesnake.
Yeah, who knew? Badlands full of bad
Bad
things.
things in the land. But
People land. And also a lot of wonderful, beautiful things. It is a
yeah,
beautiful park.
it is a very beautiful park. And I did something that I've been wanting to do for a long time, and that is night dark sky photography out in the Badlands, which I haven't done. I tried it in the sand dunes, and it worked horribly because I didn't know what I was doing. So I got back to the hotel after I was in the sand dunes and just had like 50 black pictures on my phone and or in my between my phone and my camera, and I was like, well, that was worth it, and it was freezing. But Badlands, I got out there and was able to figure out how to do the fancy f stops and the long shutter and long exposure, and I don't know what I'm talking about, but I figured out how to do it, and I hit the right buttons, thank you Google, and took some really cool pictures, and now I've just become obsessed with it, and I want to go to all of these dark sky parks. Because have you been out in dark skies, like official dark sky parks, before?
No, I was going to go to one in Nevada. I was going to camp in one and it didn't end up working out. But no, I have not. And how many have you been to?
Two now, I think, and I don't even know if Badlands counts because, like, where I was, there was a road right there, and people were driving by. But
Yeah.
the Sand Dunes definitely is a dark sky park, and I have to tell you, for anybody who has not gone to a dark sky park, they are fascinating. Like, I've been out in like Colorado and thinking, oh, this is pretty. Like, I see a lot of stars. But when I got into the sand dunes and it was only like 10 o'clock at night because it's the fall, and it's pitch black, like you couldn't even see your hand in front of your face, and then you look up and there were more stars than I have ever seen in my entire life, and it was absolutely stunning. So now I'm just obsessed with trying to find all these dark sky parks where I can go, and the pictures are just an excuse to be hanging out
Right.
there and seeing all of these amazing places. So it was a good trip. It was a good trip. I saw some bison. I saw some I saw a coyote. I saw the Wind Cave National Park is also up there. The great part about that area of South Dakota is that there is literally like within an hour of Rapid City, there's like five different parks. There's Rushmore, there's Custer, there's Badlands, there's Wind Cave, places you can go and see very different things.
And wall drug. Did you see
And
signs for wall drug everywhere?
I did not make it to Wall Drug. I wanted to, but I didn't make it to Wall Drug. An excuse to go back, though, right?
Yeah, I did go to wall drug, so for anyone listening who's never driven through South Dakota, because if you've driven through South Dakota, you've definitely heard of wall drug because there are signs for it, billboards for it like every few miles on the interstate. It's like the only thing that you are advertised for a long time. And when my mom and I were so basically my mom and I were traveling from Indiana to California. She was helping me move out there. And so we were driving through South Dakota and we just saw so many signs. We're like, we have to stop. We have to see what wall drug is all about. It's basically just, it's a tourist trap for sure. It's like, there's like a facade of like, it looks kind of like a Western,
Hmm.
whatever town. But you go in and it's just a bunch of stores selling you crap.
Yeah, little
Really.
little tchotchkes, and
Yep.
I've been to Wall Drug signs, and
Yep.
I actually ran into a couple people that were from South Dakota when I was up there, and I said, "Do I need to go to Wall Drug?" And they were like, "No, just no." They're like, "It's cool, but you don't need to do it."
Right.
So it was, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad I stayed to do photography. It was one of the two. It was dark photography or Wall Drug. So it sounds like I
Probably made
made
the
the
right
right
choice.
choice.
Yeah.
But you've been traveling a little bit too, right? You went to a place I was very jealous of.
I did get to go to Bozeman for a little bit. It was very
Hmm.
short lived. I was only there for like a couple days, unfortunately, but it was very cool. And I'm excited to go back and spend a little more time. I think in August I'm gonna try to do that. So, yeah,
Nice.
it was beautiful.
Have,
They happened to get a little bit of snow in the mountains because they're having a similar winter to us in Denver, where it's been pretty warm and dry. So I got a little winter time in, some winter hiking. It was nice.
have you been to Montana before?
No, it was like one of the few states I haven't been to. So, yeah.
Yeah, you definitely have to go back. I spent a weekend in Missoula, and it was absolutely beautiful. So, highly recommend you go back and enjoy a little bit of Montana. It's beautiful country up there.
Yeah, I'm planning on going to Glacier in
Oh,
August.
nice.
Yeah,
That'll be a good
so
trip.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah,
Very
and then
cool.
you mentioned you went to the sand dunes too, right?
I did.
Recently?
I
Yeah,
did.
how's that?
Yes. Sand dunes is amazing. Have you been to Sand Dunes?
Mm-hmm.
Sand Dunes National Park is a beautiful, beautiful place, and I got to tell you, it's one of those places where if you've never been, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. You're driving and like you're kind of like in the middle of a bunch of farms, and then there's a giant mountain next to you, and then you turn this road and there's still a bunch of like farmland, and then you just show up and all of a sudden there's like a mountain on one side and then there's these giant sand dunes on the other side, and you're like, where there's no ocean, there's no lake, there's if you go at the right time of year there's a river that runs through it, but it just doesn't make any sense. You're like, what are these sand dunes here? And then you go and hike on the sand dunes, and as you start to make your way up the sand dunes, you like start to like some of the mountains start to reveal themselves to you, and all of a sudden you're like, this is the coolest place on earth. But then you realize, and I don't know if you know, you're in much better shape than me. Hiking up sand is hard.
It's so hard.
It is so hard to walk up sand. uh, yeah, I made it about. I did pretty good. I've made it to the high dune once. I try to go to the dunes once or twice a year. I made it to high dune once. I did not make it this last time, but I did something that I've never done there before, which is see the sunset, which is really cool because all of a sudden you see, you know, like the sun goes down and it doesn't like go down behind the sand dunes if you're on the sand dunes, like which would be cool, but it goes kind of down off to the east or to the west of the sand dunes, but all of these shadows come down and the dunes are constantly changing, and like you'll walk up them and then it'll be a windy day and you'll turn around, your footsteps are gone type of thing, so they're constantly kind of
Hmm.
shifting a little bit. And then as you come down and you're like, I just picked a good spot like halfway up the dunes and sat there and waited for the sun to go down, but these shadows just kind of wrap themselves over the top of the sand dunes, and then like one side would be bright and like orange, kind of glowing orange with the sunset, and the other side would be just be black and, you know, kind of like shadowed completely. So it was a really cool, like if you like the way light can play on things, it was a really cool place to see the sunset. So that was definitely special. Didn't make it to the top. I love running down the sand dunes. I hate going up them, but yeah, it was definitely a good experience. And I came back and tried to do the pictures, and I failed. So I had like a really good experience and a really bad experience, and then yeah, that was my sand dunes story. But if you've never been there, it's a wonderful place. It's about 4 hours from Denver, so it's the longest I'll go for a day hike. But this time, I decided to stay the night in Alamosa, and 100% would do again. 10 out of 10. Hanging out, like just being able to go back the next morning if you wanted to. Yeah, just absolutely the right choice.
Yeah, I need to go back. I only went briefly, so I didn't. I like hiked around the dunes a little, but I also just got really exhausted and was like, this is tiring. I'm gonna go do something else now.
It is exhausting. I will say if you get there at the right time in the spring when the river is running through, I don't. Did you have the river when you were there?
No, I was there in like November, so.
Okay, yeah, no river then. That is a good hack though. So because of the sand, like a lot of people don't know this, but if you go at the right time of the year when there's some snow on the sand dunes, the dunes will actually, with the cold weather, actually get a little bit harder. So like you don't sink as much and you can find kind of follow where the snow was, and it makes it easier to get to the top of the dunes, which it seems counterproductive to hike on the snowy part or the icy part of the dunes, but it's like, oh, it's so much better than the shifting sands under your feet.
That's the hack. That's,
It's
yeah,
that
that's the pro tip right
that's
there.
the pro tip. And in the spring when the river's running, it is absolutely stunning. because again, you're like, why is there a sand dune right next to this mountain, and now there's a river in between all of it, and now it just nothing makes sense at that point. But it's an absolutely stunning area of Colorado that doesn't. I don't think a lot of people go to that. I feel like that and Black Canyon are the places that people don't go to enough in Colorado.
Yeah.
They go to Rocky Mountain National Park, they go to Breckenridge, they go to Aspen, they go to Vail, they do Durango, maybe maybe some Telluride, but like they miss two of like the best parts of Colorado in my opinion. So
Yeah. Yeah.
what else have you been up to, Becca? You're running. You're in Montana. We did see each other a couple. What was it? Last week? Two
Yeah.
weeks ago? A few weeks ago?
Yeah. However long it's been.
At
Has it already been 2 weeks?
By the time this airs, it could be like a month. But for all I know,
Yeah,
we'll
true.
see.
By the
But
time this airs, it'll be have been about a month. But yeah, we saw each other at the Outdoor Market Alliance media show.
which is
Um,
where I believe that we first met. But we have proven many times that I am wrong.
yeah, that's not simply not true, unfortunately.
Tell people what is the Outdoor Market Alliance show?
Yeah, it's a small kind of it's a small show where brands like outdoor brands will showcase to media some upcoming gear for the next couple seasons. It's pretty small and intimate, I would say, compared to other like there's some bigger shows out there. Um, yeah, so it just kind of gives us as media a chance to get like FaceTime with PR reps and people from brands to talk about outdoor gear and what's new and what to expect.
What were some of your favorite brands that you saw there this year?
Favorite brands? In terms of like, see, it kind of depends. I feel like, is it in terms of what I tend to test or just like what I thought was interesting that maybe I won't be
Like
covering, but
I love the fact that Marmot was there and they had that little stuffed marmot on their desk.
yes,
Like that was my favorite part of
yes.
the whole show. But,
I
you
did
know,
get a picture with that marmot.
did you?
Yeah,
Very cool.
yeah.
So what were the what how about this? What are the products you're most excited to test that are coming out here for either some they were showing some summer, some fall gear, but what are the things you're most excited to test?
Yeah, I'd say probably the first thing that comes to mind, La Sportiva's new Prodigio 2. So it's like the a new iteration of their of one of their trail running shoes that I already liked. All, like a lot of the riders for Treeline already really like the Prodigio. So I'm excited to try the new one with its upgrades. Um, and then also a lot of brands have new hiking skirts, which is a trend, I think. I don't There haven't been a lot of skirts, hiking skirts available until recently. Like I mean at this show I saw so many and they're really we didn't they were kind of hard to find when I was starting when I was writing my guide on this a couple years ago. Yeah, I'm excited to try some from I think Nerona
Mhm.
has some Royal
I saw
Robins.
Royal had some new skirts. Yeah,
Cool. And there were more Sherpa Adventure Gear, which was a new to me brand. Had you heard of Sherpa Adventure Gear before?
I had not. No, and they're
Yeah.
they're not local, but their rep was local. He's here in Colorado, and but their story is amazing. Do you remember some of that story from Sherpa?
Yeah, what I remember is they are it's like a small family run business out of Nepal, right? I think it was started in Nepal.
Hmm.
And then now I don't know, I think they moved to Europe somewhere, but they do have a locate or like an office in Boulder, I think.
So what I remember is the the European company bought out the Nepalese company, but then they've moved all of their manufacturing back to the original owner who started a factory in Nepal. So they're back to like the roots of being Nepalese
Mhm.
and like having everything made there and all that stuff. Which you love to hear that when companies are going back to kind of the roots that way. So
Yeah, and another thing that was really cool is they give a lot of money to fund education for children in Nepal because it's very expensive to send kids to school in Nepal. And so this kind of helps break barriers, especially for girls, because a lot of families, because it's so expensive, they tend to not be able to send their daughters to school. So this brand kind of helps fund that, which is really cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So those were a few. I mean, gosh, there were so many. By the time this airs, we'll definitely, I mean, maybe even today, literal today, um, we'll have Treeline Review will have our article out, and I have written a ton of stuff in there about things I'm excited about. But those are like the ones that came to my mind just now. What about you?
I always, who do I see there? I always see Outdoor Vitals there, which is another very small company that I really enjoy Outdoor Vitals stuff. They're out of oh, the town that's close to Mount Zion, or not Mount Zion, but Zion, Utah. I forget. They're right in that little area. I don't remember the town
Like St.
name.
George?
I think so, maybe. They're somewhere over there by Zion. But they come out with like some really nice ultralight gear that is really nice. They're coming out with a new ultralight backpack and tent for this summer. Um, and then they've got really great jackets and stuff. And what I like is they actually have bigger sizes. So it's hard to find ultralight gear in like a bigger size. And I'm not one of these ultralight people who's down to like the ounce of what I'm wearing, but it's really high quality gear. So I really like their stuff. So I can't wait to test those. Um, Coast always has some really cool like voice activated lights, which is fun. And me and Kai actually sat in on a presentation at the same time with them, and they had to kick us out because we had too much fun with it a little bit. When you have voice activated stuff and you have two jokesters sitting there, and we just keep saying
Yeah.
"Coast on," and the lights are turning on and off, and we're changing colors, and they're trying to give us their presentation, so we got kicked out of that one. I really One thing I love about OMA is that like they feed us like, so it's kind of in the like an industrial park, so there's not a lot around it, so they like bring in catering, and it gives us a chance to sit down and just talk with the people. It's very much family like, where I've been doing it for I think I've been to every one of them, so it's like my eighth, sixth or eighth or whatever. But it's just great to see the people that you've known for a long time, or that you've see twice a year at these things. Although I do have a complaint, and you're involved in this, Becca. So hold on. All right, here's the we're all kind of independent journalists who go to this and do independent reviews, except for Becca works for Treeline Review, as we've mentioned in the past, who brought like, was it 100 people with you?
Okay. To be fair, there are nine of us, but to be fair, six are independent freelance writers who write for other publications too. And one of them is also like a very important editor for another publication and is there on their behalf, not actually ours, but we claim them anyway.
So,
So to be fair, only three of us were there as like Treeline official.
and there were like nine of you that went around to all of these interviews together, right?
Some of them.
And everyone, you guys got in there right before me, and there were nine of you, and then I'm coming in after just as myself, and they're like, okay, well, we have some samples for you guys to test gear, and they give nine samples to the tree line people, and I walk in right behind them, and they're like, sorry, we gave them all the tree line. So now you guys are going to test all this gear, and I'm going to be sitting here, I'm going to have to hike in last year's gear just to do a second review.
Listen, I feel like you have to take that up with the brands and the
I
PR reps.
I think I do. Nobody, yeah, nobody. It was just it cracked me up because obviously this was totally independent. So like I make my own appointments, you make your own appointments, but we ended up being like in the same place at the same
Yeah.
time. Like I was right after you probably half a dozen times, or like even up to 10 times over the 2 days. And it was always like I pop in and then like you guys are just finishing up and there's nine of you and I'm like, oh, because I knew as soon as I walked in, who was it? It was the Life Straw, I think, and they
Yeah.
literally had like a gift package for every single one of you. And then I like stood there and they looked at me and they're like, "Oh, tree
Yeah.
line."
I know.
You got a
Yeah.
Sherpa sweater. You all had Sherpa sweaters, and you all wore them in front of me just to taunt me. Really, is what it boiled down to. I walked out with my
Yeah.
like I had like a Diet Coke that I got out of the cooler, and that was all I got from
Oh.
this whole meeting where we're supposed to test all the new gear.
Listen, tree line, I don't know. We're taking up space. We're taking up space.
What it
I
really
don't know.
means is that Treeline is growing because you guys started a few years back and it was just the two owners who started it, right? Then you keep growing and growing, and you guys have actually done a remarkable job of coming into a space and telling stories and giving advice to people who love to be outdoors. And what you've done is you've created a bit of a monster at trade shows, but something that the people who are reading, your readers really, I think. And if you haven't checked out Treeline Review, check out Treeline Review because y'all do a wonderful job of pulling together some of the best. You guys do have some of the best writers around for the outdoor space and editors. Becca's an editor, and what you've done is you've really done a good job of growing this into something that people are. It's the first place a lot of people go for gear reviews. So they should go to Fat Man Little Trail. But you guys are doing a good job too. But no,
Well, that's
seriously,
very nice. Thank you. Yeah, Liz and Naomi are incredible. They're the founders of Treeline Review. They've done incredible work. It's really amazing what they've created. Yeah, but OMA is also so wonderful because you have an awards little like an awards what should we call it?
it is the Fatty Awards. I
Yeah,
give
the
out
Fatty Awards.
every year. I give out the Fatty Awards at OMA, every trade show that I go to. So if anybody wants to invite me to like the Oscars or something like that, I will gladly give out my own awards at these trade shows. It started a couple years ago when like there were other brands that kind of gave out awards and then they laid off a bunch of people and stopped doing the awards. And I was like, a lot of people, these reps put in a ton of work. These PR people, they come from all over the country and they're showing stuff off, and the brands are here. And because it's a small, localized event, I wanted to, give people something to look forward to. So every trade show, I give out. I think it's five fatties. I give out like best presentation, best PR firm. At this one, because it's PR driven, I give out best PR, best brand, overall brand, best new product, and most innovative product. So I gave out my five awards this year, and I'm going to have a blog about these here pretty soon. But a company called Rux won most innovative. Um, Bear Vault won best new
So,
product.
yes. Which I did the math. Unfortunately, this will air the day before we're allowed to talk about this product.
Their product is so good it won an award but can't be spoken of because of a media embargo. But the fun part is I came in to give them an award, and Becca was in there. Also, she was getting all the samples before anybody else could, and just teasing. But like she got to take the pictures and like see like the video of me handing out the award, which was fun. I forgot who else got stuff this year.
I remember who was best PR firm because we talked about it in the hallway when you were debating.
Um,
I
it
believe it was
was
Jam Collective, I
it was
believe.
Jam Collective got best
Hmm.
PR. Who got best presentation was that English guy from the brand
Thacker.
that yeah. So he was brand like they were brand new, and he knew his gear inside and out. And then the last one for best overall brand, oh, it went to Nomadics, who was kind of known for their ultralight towels, and they've completely changed their line around with you know bags, beach bags, and like beach chairs, and kind of made this whole lifestyle brand out of what started as a towel, which was really cool. And they've made a lot of changes to their brand. It was great to see a brand like kind of make such a big leap from last year when we saw them to this year when we saw them. So I do put thought into these, and I do take
Yeah,
bribes. I take bribes. So any brands that are listening to this, if you're interested in winning a fatty, make sure that you book me right before tree line, so that I can actually get some of the samples in there.
that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, that reminds me, Nomadics too is also pushing into the trail running
Yeah,
scene with, yeah, they're partnering with Brooks, which I thought was interesting, kind of growing. And a lot of brands I think are growing into running, the running scene, trail running scene.
and that
'Cause
was
it's,
interesting. Where well, and people, I think people. One, the trail running is a lot of hikers are using trail runners now instead of the bigger like hiking boots just because of the lighter weight. But it's interesting to see all the brands that do collabs together now. Like you said, Brooks and Nomadics were kind of like collabing on a shoe together, and like we saw a lot of different things. Not all of them we can talk about, and mostly because I forgot. But um, there were definitely some really cool like brand collaborations that are coming out, and it's cool. And we'll Treeline will have their article out with their 19 people, but I will also eventually get an article out about 2 years too late because it's just me. But it's fine. It's fine. We're not bitter at all over here. So
I did also write about it in my last Substack, so there's already some info out there on my personal OMA experience.
very cool.
Yeah.
What is your Substack? I feel like I plug Fat Man Little Trail all the time, but do we plug your Substack enough?
I honestly forget to plug things because I feel like I don't know the expression. I always say, I, is this a real expression? I may have made this up. I'm trying, okay. This is a complete side note, but what is an expression where it's like I have my fingers in many, it's like wearing many hats, but I feel like there's something where
You have your finger in many pies.
is that a real
That
expression or did
that
you
is
just
a
make that up?
no. That is, I believe it's a real
Okay.
expression, or I've been using it wrong for many years.
And that means that I'm doing a lot of different things.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's probably what I've been trying to say, but I always start saying I have my fingers in, and then I never know how to finish the sentence. And I usually just have to make something up. Okay, anyway, my Substack
Hold on.
is,
What do you usually make up here? I'm
I
curious
don't
of where
know.
you're.
I don't know. I just visualize somebody sticking their fingers in different people's foods. And so sometimes I just say a different food. So that's why I also was like, is it really pie? And I was kind of right.
I think it is pie. Yeah, because I think
Okay.
it goes back to people making like apple and
Oh,
pumpkin and like making all the different pies. So they're busy make. I don't know. I just that part I made up, but you all have
oh,
Google out there. AI's coming. You can.
yeah. Someone can comment on this and tell us
That would be.
we're wrong. That's fine.
Yeah.
Or that we're right. That's better.
Either way, we're good.
Um, yeah, but my Substack is called Invoice Day, and it's twice a month. But
Nice.
once a month, it's free, and it's about like outdoor gear I'm testing and like uh, travel and stuff like that, things I'm doing. And then the other one is a poetry focused one that's for paid subscribers, and it's like a poetry workshop. It's pretty cheap, but yeah.
Very
Anyway,
cool.
that's my Substack.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, very good. Everybody go out there and check out Invoice Day. Invoice
Yeah,
Day?
and then yeah, Invoice Day, and then go to fatmanlittletrail.com, right?
Yes. Look at
Yeah.
us. We're a plugging machine right now.
Yeah.
I love this. Becca, this was fun. We should do this more often. I don't know
Yeah.
if anybody will listen to it, but it's
I
still
don't
fun
know.
for us to catch up like this.
It is.
Even though we live like a mile apart from each other, we never see each other because we're so busy doing so many things. And we need to rectify that as well and get on a hike now that the weather is hopefully warming up.
Yes. And go
Um,
birding. I think we should go birding.
we do need to. I did go birding this last weekend. I got shut out. No birds.
What? No birds at all?
Well, no eagles. I wanted to see the
Oh,
eagles.
okay.
I saw
Oh my God.
hawks.
I saw an eagle yesterday while I was just I was hanging out with a friend at Cheeseman Park. We were just laying on a blanket, looked up,
Nice.
saw an eagle. Isn't that wild?
And I literally went to the home of the eagles here, Bar Lake in Colorado, and saw no eagles at all. They were
They were
all
flying over
hidden.
Cheeseman.
They were like
Sorry.
chasing you down in Cheeseman. They were like, "Ah, you're killing me. You're killing me." Tree line strikes again and
I
steals all my
know.
fun. But this was wonderful. I think we should wrap it up now. We're coming in on almost an hour. Thank you all so much for listening to the podcast over the last 8 episodes. Thank you for catching up with me and Becca as well today. We had a lot of fun, and hopefully you did as well. Becca, you want to take us home?
Yeah. Thanks for listening to us ramble, as always. And be sure to subscribe to the podcast. Follow us on Instagram at Scrambling and Rambling Pod. And also email us at scramblingandramblingpod@gmail.com because we still need graphic art and we just need to outsource this. We need help. So please, please send us something. Yeah. Until next time, enjoy your rambles.